What keeps you engaged and motivated at work? That can be one of the most daunting tasks that we have as a leader. And I have a solution. Stay tuned. As a psychotherapist, as an executive coach for over 15 years, I see this firsthand. Leaders need to be engaged and motivated, or a job can literally just suck them dry. Where they come home and they give leftover crumbs to their family, the people who mean the most to them. I don't want that to happen for you. I want to share with you ideas of how you can have more energy and be more engaged in work so that when you go home, you're not giving leftovers to the people you love the most, but you're also giving your best to the people at work. So what comes first, action or motivation? Think about that for a minute. What comes first, action or motivation? Now, if you're like 90% of people, they say, well, it's motivation. Clearly, it's motivation. That's what comes first. It's not true. Action comes first, then motivation follows, particularly with something you don't want to do, right? As a kid, did I ever want to get up on a cold winter's morning and go throw papers? No, never. But I found this out, the psychological principle that you act and then the motivation will come. You act, the motivation will come. As I started getting up, folding the papers and getting out and delivering them, it became much better, and then I felt the motivation. Are you an exerciser? Most people, now there's some of the crazy people who just love to get up at 5 in the morning and they're out and they're motivated. That's not me. I never feel like exercising, but I always feel better when I get up, start exercising, and here's the real payoff, when I'm done. I feel a sense of satisfaction of accomplishing something. So understanding engagement is understanding this principle that I need to act as if, and then ultimately the motivation will follow me. Sometimes I'm not going to feel like doing something, but as I do it, I find that more motivation will come. And sometimes the greatest motivation that I completed it and it's over and woohoo, and I feel great. Harvard did a study to find out what brought enjoyment to work. And this was like 80,000 people that they studied and they asked. Well, they boiled all their information down to one simple little idea. They said that the people who enjoyed their work, who were engaged, daily did at least one thing that they found was meaningful to them. It was that simple. Every day. Now, granted, parts of our job are not the funnest to do, but if every day we make it a habit as a leader to do something meaningful or to help find out what is meaningful to my employees, it helps them to be engaged more. There is power in finding what brings enjoyment on the job and therefore meaning with yourself, taking the time to identify that, but also with your employees. Being engaged is a critical key to having people feel inspired. Everyone on your team wants to feel part of something. They want to feel inspired. They want to be engaged. They do want to feel like they belong and that they're contributing. Well, an easy way to do that is to help them be engaged through helping them grow, helping them to become. And that's one of the most important questions a leader can ask themselves. Who am I becoming as a leader? And how about my people? Because we're in the people building business. Doesn't matter what position you are, doesn't matter what industry, you're in the people building business. Because without your people, you will not build it. And without engagement, nothing great really happens. But things were about to change for me in the 7th grade. I ran for class president, so excited, had my posters and everything put up all over, and I lost. I hadn't dealt with much loss in my life. I put my mind to things and did it, and it happened. That hurt. I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know what to do with it. Then my girlfriend broke up with me. Ouch, right? And then I'm in math class, and if you're in elementary, you had a question, you just raise your hand and you ask the question. I did that in junior high in math class, and I'm not going to name names, but Mrs. Wilson then proceeded to shred me. She then said, "Where have you been for the past 2 weeks? How stupid are you?" Are we sensitive and tender in the 7th grade? Are we sensitive and tender as a 40-year-old, 50, 60, 70, 80? Yes. 30-year-old, doesn't matter. I remember at that point, I then shut down my heart and I said, if this is school, I'm done with this. I then made a different decision that I was no longer going to engage in school. And I was just going to get by. And later on, I got into a heavy metal band. I was doing the bare minimum just to get through. I barely graduated from high school. But then something interesting happened. As I continued into my early 20s, late teens, there was a voice that was saying, Doug, there's more for you in this life. And I'm going, yeah, right? No, Doug, seriously. That intuitive nudge, that voice inside, I think it's inside of every leader and every single one of us. And that voice kept haunting me. Doug, There's more for you. Go to college. And then I had to remind that voice, right? That voice of potential saying, no one in my family's been to college. That's not what we do. That voice did not go away and it said, Doug, go to college. I finally listened to that voice. I went to college and I dropped out the second day and didn't even go the first. I was off to a good start, right? But then have I taught you about that voice? I think every leader has. That voice continued to haunt me. It said, Doug, go to college. I said, go to college? I tried that. I'm dumb. I can't do it. I checked out of, school in the 7th grade. I don't know any of this stuff. Doug, find a way to go to college. I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I finally listened to that intuitive nudge. Have you had that in your life before? Something that gnaws at you and you listen to it and you act on it? I finally found that the community college had 3 levels of dumbbell math, right? Not just one level. That's the one I dropped out when I started going to the university. But I went to the community college, 3 levels of dumbbell math. And I don't mean to brag, but I took each one of those twice. Okay? I got through. My story is simply this. That nudge has led me to where I'm at today, trying to tune into that nudge. Ultimately said, now go get your graduate degree because you know what you want to do. You want to work in motivational leadership and you also want to work in psychotherapy, go to graduate school. Long story short, and I don't say that to brag because it was hard and I had to work hard to get there to make up for all the years that I lost. But that voice is the voice of engagement in your life. And as a leader, I'm going to highly, highly, highly recommend you start tuning into that and acting on that for yourself, but then tuning in to that nudge with your team. And I'm going to promise you this, every single day you will have a nudge, every day, one way, shape, or form with your team, with an idea, with yourself. The key is, will you recognize it and will you act on it? So I have a question. What is your heart nudging you to do right now that you might be dismissing or not recognizing? I'd love to hear in the comments. Put some comments down. What is your heart nudging you to do? Boiling this down into a simple little idea, my friends, as a leader, to be fully engaged so that you can engage the people you lead, I want you to listen to a nudge to do something meaningful every single day as a leader. And do that same thing with your team. And as you do, you will feel alive. It'll be fun to be in leadership again. Yes, the challenges will still be there, but you'll be engaged. And when you're engaged and when you're focused, people will love to follow you because you're listening to that nudge that'll take you to higher levels of your leadership. If you like this video, give it a like. That'd be nice. But also, if you want to go a little deeper and build on this, go to the video in this series that talks about how you can accomplish more in a fraction of the time. I think you'll like it.